Tommy, I will wager you that this brand new Toyota Tacoma Trailhunter is by far the best Tacoma you can buy.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. There is another option, and it's this, the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. And in this video, we're going to take both of them off-road in Moab, Utah, and find out which one you should buy. So the Trailhunter is kind of the ultimate rock crawl slash overland version of the new Tacoma. And Dad, what is the single best part about the Trailhunter?
I think it's the snorkel, Tommy.
I think it's the color. So Trailhunter has some exclusive colors and some exclusive features. Now, you mentioned the elevated air intake.
I thought it was the desert air intake.
Well, they have a couple different words for it, but the point of this is it doesn't increase the water fording, but it is said to kind of raise where your truck is getting air to keep the air cleaner. Now, other things to notice on the front end of this Tacoma, we have the rigid integrated fog lights right down here, and you also have the off-road light there beneath the bronze Toyota emblem. And then over here, you're rolling on a set of bronze 18-inch wheels, 265/70 R18 tire.
Those are good-looking wheels.
Pretty cool, right? And if you look there in the suspension, you've got different upper control arms, and of course, the Trailhunter version of the Tacoma is riding on Old Man Emu suspension, and the TRD Pro is riding on Fox suspension. Now over here, we've got the big Trailhunter badging down the side of the door, and then my favorite part about this trim is the rock protection all the way down the side.
So Tommy, while we're here, who is this video brought to us by?
This video is brought to us by our friends Onyx Off-Road, the #1 off-road trail navigation software. If you're out in Moab, Utah, or if you're in Nebraska, you can find the best trails in your area, know how to get to them, and know what to expect.
And you know what? Now they have an added level of camping.
That's right, yes. If you want to find the coolest dispersed camping spots, you can check that out. Now over here, we also have the ARB bed bar, which is incorporated with this MOLLE panels for some additional storage. You got little lights here on top of the bed, and then out back, couple of things worth noting. Of course, you do have your little button to lower the tailgate with the full composite bed. This is going to be the same on the Trailhunter and the TRD Pro.
Compressor.
That's right. Integrated air compressor right there under that little panel. A really cool feature. And then if we lift up the tailgate, you also notice recovery points slash high lift jack points in red. And this rear bumper is brought to you by our friends at ARB. So a really kind of cohesive package for kind of your rock crawl overland needs.
Now, does the Trailhunter always come as a hybrid, Tommy?
It's the only way you can get it. Yep, so you got the 2.4 turbo engine with the hybrid powertrain. It's the only way to get it. And of course, it comes standard with four-wheel drive in the Trailhunter trim.
And I have to agree, I love this color. I think you're right. I mean, the snorkel, we'll show them what it does because it does make some pretty funky sounds, but this color is absolutely spectacular. I am a sucker for a car that has a really nice stance. And look at the stance on this.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's got that wide body look.
Dare I say truck, sorry.
There you say truck. Yeah, it's got that kind of wide body look with these flat black fender flares. It's a really interesting package and it stands out from other Tacomas.
Well, let's do this. Let's mount some cameras and let's see how it does out on the trail. You know why I think this is the best of the two, Tommy?
What do you got there?
Well, the color. No, I'm just kidding. I like this because, let's face it, this is the rock crawly one. This is the one that most suits what we're doing here in Moab, right? Even though we might be doing some kind of high-speed running today for, you know, a little bit of variety.
I think that this is the truck that is suited to most people's needs. Most people are out there kind of doing slower, you know, forest roads and medium to moderate trails versus desert running, which is what the TRD Pro is more aimed at. But look, both trucks are equipped very similarly with their off-road gear. So both trucks have the rear locking diff, both trucks have the sway bar disconnect, both of the trucks have multi-terrain select, both of the trucks have crawl control, so they're spec'd pretty similarly for the all-out off-road hardware, but kind of the design appeals to desert running versus overlanding.
Well, I love the fact that, for instance, right there you have a integrated brake controller. Right over here, right, you have your terrain select switch, and you've got all the off-road goodies. You also have things like heated and cooled seats, which is really nice, Tommy.
Yeah, and you've got this large 14-inch screen with the integrated cameras. But the problem is, come on,
you can do it.
I don't want the bed camera. There's like 100 different cameras. Why? The problem is, every time you go over 9 miles an hour,
10 miles an hour,
the camera's cut out. So we're going 11 right now, so I can't show you anything.
Hey, Toyota, listen.
I know.
Stop that.
Such a silly rule, and it's
That's
super
a silly rule.
annoying.
Yeah, just you know, it just keeps switching out of the camera mode into the navigation mode. Now try putting it back in the camera mode because we're almost stopped, and you can show it now.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we can actually start to see. We got some pretty cool like under camera angles. It's spazzing out a little bit. You've got your side angles. It's very cool stuff.
You got your inclination right there, and then you could do. If I remember, you
your
could do
automatic.
That.
Yeah. What does this guy do? I forgot what that does. There we
go.
go. That's a cool angle.
Yeah. And then you want to show them what's on the left side over there?
Yeah, for sure. So over here we've got our auxiliary switches. We got 3 of them. We've got our AC power switch. It has a lot of onboard power. I think it's 2,400 watts in the bed. We've got our tailgate switch. And we also have our light bar and fog light buttons down here.
And then show them these 2 buttons, which are also good. You've got your lockable rear diff and your sway bar disconnect.
Stability bar disconnect.
You have a copy there?
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Now we're ready to roll.
So let me ask you this. We just did a video where we said if we're going to buy a 4Runner, which has the same powertrain as this, we wouldn't get the hybrid because it doesn't give you more fuel economy, gives you a lot more torque, but out here you don't need it. But in a truck, when you're towing, that torque might be something you want.
Yeah, and you get a huge amount more torque. It's over 100 pound-feet more torque in the hybrid compared to the standard one. But you're forgetting the real reason that you get the hybrid in this truck.
Jizz.
You get a ton of onboard power. So you have over 2,000 watts of onboard power. So if you're out camping, you've got like a bed rack system or a 4-wheel camper or something back there, you can power it via the hybrid system, and you've got more than like 400 watts of onboard power. So that is that elevated air intake. And what you get is this whoosh out of the turbo, and then you get the little flutter when you let off the throttle. It's a pretty crazy sound that you really, really, really hear every time you open the window. I'm not sure though that I would want that the whole time out on the trail. It gets pretty annoying after about 15 minutes.
I'd say about 5 minutes, Tommy. I mean, I already closed my window because of that.
But with the window closed,
snoring walrus.
With the window closed, you can't really hear it at all, right?
No, I mean.
There you go. I'm on the throttle. It's totally silent.
The other thing you get is this, right? Which is a mirror that is a camera.
Yeah, I think that this truck is really well integrated with this camera setup. I mean, there's cameras over every corner of this vehicle, so you really can see exactly what's going on the front end and the rear end, even underneath, right? You've got good views of your tires, like these guys here. This is really well done. I think that the camera setup is probably best in class that Toyota uses. One issue with this Trailhunter though is that you don't get a sunroof. So if you really, really want a sunroof, you can get it on the Pro, you can get it on every other version of the Tacoma, but you can't get it on the Trailhunter.
Yeah, and you do pay a price for all this Toyota luxury, Tommy, and off-roady goodness. I think these are, what, close to 65-ish?
Yep, they're like mid-60s.
Yes.
And the problem with these trucks is not so much the truck, it's the competitive set, because the Ranger Raptor has kind of come in here and reset the bar a little bit. You've gone from a 4-cylinder turbo to a V6 twin turbo. You have only a rear locker in the Tacoma versus a front locker in the Ford. The Tacoma does have the stabilizer bar disconnect, which is really cool, but the Ford has, you know, better rubber on it. So it's kind of a tough argument to make for this Toyota unless you really care about the little gadgets like the speaker that pops out of the dash. I mean, Toyota's really good with the little kind of quirks and features, as Doug would say, right? You've got the speaker, you've got the ARB bumper and the red hooks, and I mean, they are very flashy, but from an actual hardware standpoint, I think Ford has kind of surpassed them in some ways.
Now, we just had the, basically the AT4X Canyon at the office.
Yes.
With, you know, all of the goodies that it has, and that was if I remember the sticker, Tommy, That came on 35s. It's kind of like the Colorado with the EV stuff on it.
Yep.
That came in at 72,000.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So there is a precedent for having trucks in this mid-size class that are that expensive. But I think you're right. I think the Ranger Raptor is the bargain of the group.
The Canyon and the Colorado offer I think the best looks and certainly the biggest tire in the category. They also get the locking diffs, which is awesome. That's also front of rear lockers. And I think that from an all-out rock crawling capability standpoint, it's hard to beat Colorado Canyon, except for maybe Gladiator. But then Gladiator, you have to start to modify to elevate it because it's got solid axles and also a sway bar disconnect, which is just so cool. But the Gladiator, you got to put some money into to put some better tires on it. And you can go bigger tires really easily with the Gladiator, which is much harder to do with the Toyotas. So if you really want to build out a rig, the Jeep is kind of the most Lego-like of them, I think, in that you can really change the suspension, really change tire size and go nuts with it. It's also the most compromised on the road, and it's also a convertible, which is great out here and pretty bad on the highway coming out here, our 6-hour drive from Colorado. So that's kind of the biggest toy. This truck, I think, is the most tech-laden of all the mid-size trucks. The Ranger is the most impressive as an all-around hardware package, and the Canyon Colorado has, it's kind of like this. It's a combination of tech and capability.
Yeah, of course we're not comparing those to this, but there is one thing you are forgetting, just like I forgot the power on board. What is the big reason to buy this? It's, of course, the fact that at least in Colorado, a Tacoma has some of the highest resale value of any vehicle. Not just mid-size truck, any vehicle, right? So even if you are going to spend, you know, close to $70,000, $65,000, $70,000 on this truck versus, let's say, a Canyon or a Colorado or even a Raptor Ranger, this thing is going to be worth probably more money at the end of 5 years than any of those.
But that's changing quickly.
You think?
That used to be the case, but Jeeps hold their value like crazy. Ranger Raptors are holding their value like crazy because the new ones are still in some cases over MSRP. So at one point, yeah, you would buy a Tacoma over a Frontier because the Tacoma would be worth what it was 5 years later. But in this latest crop of mid-sized trucks, they're so closely competitive and there's so many folks that want Gladiators in the used market and Ranger Raptors that I'm not sure that's the case anymore.
So I'm curious in the suspension tuning. So let's get into the TRD Pro next and see how it compares to the Old Man Emu, because that one has Fox shocks.
This is pretty smooth. I think that this is ticking most of these little undulations and smaller bumps pretty well. We're only doing 15 to 20 miles an hour.
And we are down.
We are down. We're kind of on this road of dirt road, but there's really no complaints. I think really to tell the difference between these two, we're going to have to be doing 35 or 40, which I don't think the Toyota guys are going to let us do out here. But I'm pretty satisfied with the seats and the comfort in this Trailhunter. It's eating up this kind of service road, no problem. Let's check out the outside of the new TRD Pro. Now, some things worth noting. I really like this feature, the mud bath insert on the Toyota emblem, which is super, super rad. And below that, we have the off-road light. And then, of course, the rigid fog lights down below that. Now, of course, that hood scoop located up here is just for design. Doesn't provide any venting or additional air intake. We do have different style wheel design with the red inserts, the Goodyear tires, and then we've got the anodized red TRD upper control arms with the red springs and, of course, the Fox shocks. Up here, TRD Pro across the hood. It's got a black roof with the triple shark fins, which is a small detail, but definitely unique. And I was saying that this truck doesn't have rocker protection, but it does. It's just a different design than what you're going to find on the Trailhunter. That was my bad, and I'm really glad that Toyota has included that. Black door handles, in this case covered in mud. And then as we make our way around back, you're going to notice here we've got the bright wheel arches in this kind of piano black finish, and then of course the full composite bed with no air compressor, but a slightly different look than the Trailhunter, a little bit more tucked in, which I think is a nice look for this truck. There you can see it next to its cousin right there. All right, Dad, now we are in the Pro, and we're actually in TRD Pro territory here.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of desert running, so I can use these isodynamic seats.
Yeah, these are some crazy seats. So these are essentially seats with built-in shock absorbers that suspend you above the frame, sort of, kind of, and help absorb some of the bumps. To be honest with you, I can't feel the difference at all, except for the fact that they're a little bit narrower than the Trailhunter seats, and also the fact that it completely eats up any kind of rear seat legroom.
Yeah, for those of you who are tall, I don't mean wide, I mean tall, Tommy.
Yep.
No, I actually do mean wide. Like me, you will find them that they are rather huggy.
Yeah, they do grip you pretty well.
But, you know, it is something unusual that no other truck in any size has. So we're out here with Toyota. That's why we have access to all these cars. And we're with a group of people, Tommy. And a little behind the scenes here. And it is rather challenging doing video because you, of course, got a whole bunch of people who have all kinds of different needs, right?
Yep.
And so we just started this video, and for some reason we decided to stop, and now this desert running has turned into desert standing.
Desert standing. That's how it always goes on video shoot. That's how it goes.
It's kind of behind the scenes of this. But while we're here, why don't we show them the goodies in this vehicle? So you want to kind of go over, we've got the brake controller, very similar to the Trailhunter, right?
So this has got a whole bunch of TRD specific things, like the little red strip above the steering wheel, like the TRD here.
Over here too.
It's got the TRD Pro along the door, and it's got the TRD shift knob. So obviously kind of in that desert running theme, you've got your little center on the steering wheel, so you know when you're going sideways where straight is. And then you've got carbon-ish trim across the dash, and of course the red stitching. But let me show you the issue with this truck. So the isodynamic seats,
Not cryptobiotic?
that are supposed to keep you in position, they have these huge backing. Here are those shocks for lateral as well as up and down. But look at the rear seat legroom. I mean, it is non-existent.
You want to pump yours up, Tommy?
So you have to look at the owner's manual to see what the right amount to pump it up is, but they give you this little air pump, and then you fill up these little bladders based on this gauge to the right percentage. It's pretty crazy.
And this truck does have the Monroney, Tommy.
Yeah, so this truck, as spec, $67,000.
It's got some added fun things. It's got a rear diff skid plate. That's $355. But the most interesting one is the here it is, mud bath grill letter overlay. In other words, the words Toyota on the front are same as the color, which is mud bath.
Pretty cool. Yeah, this is an awesome color as well. It's kind of flat, grayish brown.
Yeah, it's getting more reddish as we go down this dusty road.
And let's see what this thing drives like. Now, you may hear a little bit more noise. That's because the TRD Pro has a different exhaust. It's got like a cool...
The TRD exhaust, the dual exhaust.
The dual outlets, yeah, which I think are pretty attractive. They're not fake.
Well, that is certainly fake. I'm pointing at the hood there.
I mean, I don't think it's a true dual exhaust to the front because it's a 4-cylinder. Why would you need a true dual? But they are both functional pipes, at least.
Yeah, but that hood scoop is not functional.
Yeah, it's kind of wobbling around on us.
It is kind of wobbling around, yeah. It's a little weird. Now, in terms of ride, what do you think?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of getting into some higher speed running here. We got the truck in 4 high, and obviously we're going a little slower on the Trailhunter, but this ride feels quite planted, and I like...
Kevin, we got everybody rolling back there?
I like this kind of wide track look too, where it's, you know, it feels a little bit more planted than like a standard TRD off-road Tacoma.
Like you said, one of the biggest differences is we do have a sunroof, dude. See right there?
That's cool, yeah.
And we don't have a high desert air intake. It's missing.
Yeah,
So,
it just sounds normal.
Yeah, it just sounds like a regular Tacoma.
One thing I do like about these hybrids in both these trucks, both the TRD Pro and the Trailhunter, come standard as a hybrid, is the torque is immediate, so you don't really have to push the go pedal down all that much for it to get a pretty good little shove of torque, and that's because that hybrid system can kind of fill in when it's needed.
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously the TRD Pro Tacoma has been around for a while, so people are familiar with it, unlike the Trailhunter, which is a brand new trim level. But I was really curious about these isodynamic seats.
Yep.
And I gotta say, Tommy, I don't think they're worth the like 3 or 4 inches of rear leg room that you lose because they're so much fatter.
Well, the first thing first is you need to adjust the seat to your weight.
Oh, so I gotta pump it up. Are you saying because I'm so heavy that I'm not using the because look, Toyota says you're like suspended like you are in 3 different locations, right? That's what the pitch is on these seats.
Yeah, I mean you've got some more dampening up and down and side to side.
Yeah,
is kind of the whole idea. but you have to set the seat to your weight, and then there's on-road and off-road mode, and I will bet you anything that these things are still, well, actually, they're probably in their off-road mode from yesterday. I'll double check that when we get out, but it's really tough to feel a difference in these seats, even for kind of moderate speeds like we're doing here, up to 25, 35 miles an hour. I'm really not feeling any added bonus, except for the fact that the bolsters are pretty tight. You notice that?
Yeah. So here's a conundrum I'm having, okay? I like bits of the Trailhunter and I like bits of this guy.
What do you like about each?
Well, I like the exhaust on this one.
Okay.
I hate the Desert High air intake, whatever the hell it's called, on the Trailhunter. So can I kind of mix and match parts? Can I take the seats out of that one and put them in here so we lose these isodynamic seats?
You may not.
Oh.
No, because that's not how Toyota sells you. You got to pick one.
Oh.
The thing is, the Trailhunter also gives you rock rails. This truck doesn't have rock rails. I believe the Trailhunter also has...
Well, it's got a compressor instead of the seats, right? So,
yeah, it's got the compressor.
Yeah.
It's got the factory rear diff protection. If I remember correctly, that's standard on Trailhunter, where it's optional on this truck.
And you do have you do have a locking diff on this one.
Yeah, you've got this stay bar disconnect too. Yes, all that's here.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're getting a little speed up. Is it fun? How's it driving?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's pretty cool with all this low end torque of the 2.4 I-Force. Plus the max bit, you never need to rev the engine up. So it's a little anticlimactic. Like, look, hard on the throttle, it's just going to stay right at 2,000 RPM. You don't need to go into the 4, 5, 6 range where kind of the cool sounds happen, because it's just so, it's almost like a diesel. It has so much low end grunt. But kind of an interesting little growl coming through. You definitely get more of that growl with the TRD exhaust than you do with the standard Trailhunter exhaust.
And you get more of that walrus snoring with the Trailhunter.
Yeah, you don't get any of the turbo noise that you get with the Trailhunter, which is kind of cool, like I said, for 15 minutes.
Once again, I have a conclusion, Tommy, just like in our previous video, but in terms of which one I would buy.
Okay.
But I will share that with you at the end.
All right.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the Trailhunter's the one to get. This, with the Fox suspension, the 2.5 inch, with remote resis in the rear, right? I think that you got to be going so fast to really feel the benefit over the old man Emu, and you're not going to be going that quick in your $67,000 brand new truck, realistically, unless you have so much money to burn and whisk a crash. It's really hard to tell the difference between the two. And because of that compressor and the rock rails, it just feels like the Trailhunter is kind of the way to go. But right. It's a competitive set. I mean, the problem with this TRD Pro is once you're going for that Desert Runner thing, the Ranger Raptor just does it better for less money. So actually the other reason I like the Trailhunter is because it's kind of a rock crawl off-road truck where it competes more with like the Bisons and stuff and the Gladiator. This is competing directly with the Ranger Raptor, and the Ranger Raptor is just a little better.
You know, we're so lucky. 10 years ago, none of these trucks existed, right?
I know, it's pretty crazy.
And now we have this plethora of like crazy off-road trucks. By the way, in case you're curious, what do you think the fuel economy on this is?
It's like 23, isn't it?
Exactly. It's
23
it's 23 mpg.
Pretty good.
Which once again begs the question, why do you need a hybrid?
Well, 23 is better than we get in the Ranger. I mean, the Ranger is lucky to do 18.
Yeah, but it's got more horsepower.
It's got 2 more cylinders.
Yeah.
So 23 is not bad. I don't think that's an unacceptable number. Yeah, and once again, you get the onboard power in this truck. This is beautiful here. Look, we're going
through this soft filled, yeah.
Sandy wash here.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Got some little muddy bits. This is a great section of trail here.
Yeah, this is perfect for these vehicles, you know.
Yeah, and you can really see when the life starts based on the little river that kind of flows through here. So, yeah, fun day comparing both trucks. They're both very, very capable machines.
Yeah, I got to thank Toyota for letting us do this, because, you know, getting these two trucks together at the same place at the same time is not easy. But you know, I started this video by saying that I'm a Trailhunter guy. Oh, dude, I'm getting mud thrown on me. We'll close that window.
Yeah, close it up.
And I would have said a few weeks ago, I would have been a TRD Pro guy. But now, I'll tell you when we stop. Hey, Tommy, when we compared the different Foreigners, which one did I say was the answer?
SR5.
Exactly. So the answer here is Blueberry. In other words, the TRD Off-Road. That's the one you want. It costs almost $20,000 less. Throw on some ATs, forego the snorkel, forego the isodynamic seats, and just get yourself a standard Tacoma. It's going to hold its value, and you're going to have as much fun as we're having in these.
Well, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below.
Yeah, and as always, this is Roman.
And Tommy, we'll see you next time.
Ciao.